Welcome back to the Golfi Real Estate Show. I'm Steph Vivier. We've got Rob Golfi with us today, sales representative Justin Podmarov with the Golfi team. We've been getting into all things real estate today, and just before the break, we went off to Hamilton, where they're doing really well when it comes to home building. And Rob, one of the areas that you identified that they've done well with is getting away with minimum parking rules for housing projects. And I know that's something here in St. Catharines at their city council on Monday night. There was one particular development that they went ahead and waived those minimum parking rules so that they could get that done. Certainly not something that they're doing for all projects, but for that particular project. And calls are growing really to get rid of these minimum parking rules.
Well, the minimum parking rules, like they say you need 1.2 parking spots for every residential unit, which developers hate. But I'll tell you, I think like in Niagara, in Hamilton, you still need a car. And so think about this. Even if you have a one bedroom condo, I'd say maybe, let's say there's 100 one-bedroom condos. I'd say 50% of those have a couple in there. And usually every person has a car. Yeah. So you need 2 cars in that for each residential unit. They don't even give you enough visitor parking like to even... And you can't even park in the visitor parking. Like, you got to go park around the corner, down the street, and this and that. So, but developers want to get away from that, because what happens is they build these big 600 units. If the units, and especially there's one in Hamilton, there's 600 units. If it's under 600,000, there is no parking for it. Mm-hmm. So I went in and they invited me to take a look at it and everything. I says, well, these units, they don't have parking. I says, well, where would they park? Well, they would take the bus. Well, what if they have a car? I go, do they take a bus to go to their car? What do you like? Where do they have the park? But literally, I wouldn't buy a unit unless it had a parking spot. I don't care. Like in Niagara, you need it. Like, everybody drives. And unless you're downtown, like, I don't know, like downtown and you don't have a car and you never had a car and you're you walk to everywhere, but that's very far and few between. But the thing is, the developers, the cost to build a parking spot, an underground parking spot, it's like $100,000 per parking spot. Yeah. So they're looking at minimizing that. But the one thing is I want to talk about is that even a townhouse complex, never enough visitor parking. No. And a townhouse complex, now you got a 1,500 or 1,200 square foot townhouse. Now you're going to have 2 people living in there. You're going to have 2 cars, and you only can fit 1 car in the driveway. Yeah. What does the other cars go to? So I was in this one complex, and we're ready to put it up for sale. And I said to them, I go, where does everybody park their cars? They said there is an arena up the street, and everybody parks there. Their second car there, and they walk to their home. Oh, wow. So, why are they allowing this? Yeah. Why? I know it's space. But I'm telling you, if you are looking at buying a townhouse or a condo, you know your parking situation, because it could be brutal.
I agree. I have a listing downtown Hamilton on King Street East right now, and beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, priced phenomenally, and it has no parking. So we can't rent it out, and it's been on the market for a couple of months now. Yeah. But if it had a parking spot, that would have been gone months ago.
So you know what they got to do, and so I was looking at this. This is nowhere to lie. This was just happening this past 2 weeks. I said we have to have a parking share. So there's got to be people that have a parking spot in their condo. And maybe they're not there all the time, right? Yeah. So maybe there could be like an app where they say, hey, I'm not going to be here. You can use my parking spot these days. Or if you need like a visitor coming, you can use their parking spot for a few days. It's like a parking share. So I'm thinking I have this great idea and everything. And then I'm looking online. I go, oh, somebody already tried to do this. But it is happening in Toronto. There is a parking share in Toronto.
It's a great idea. Yeah, no,
it is.
My wife used to own a condo actually in Mississauga, and the person to the right, there was never anybody parking there for, I think she owned the unit for almost 2 years. There was never a car there. It was a waste of space.
Right.
Someone could have been parking there.
Yeah. So I think what you do is, if you live in a condo building, and I would put a flyer under everybody's door, say, listen, I have a parking spot. I'm not there all the time. We can create a an app for everybody to look at to see what's open. So mine's open. Anybody can use it. I'll be back by this time on whatever, and then vice versa. So that if you have company, you can invite them and say, hey, park here. Like, depends how long they're staying or whatever, so that you don't have this thing. So maybe I shouldn't tell this secret to everybody too much. And I'm gonna invent this thing, invent this little app, and do it myself. Yeah. But there is issues with parking in condo buildings and townhouses. I'm sorry, but I always tell my clients, listen, try to find a parking spot. Like, if you're going to buy a townhouse, make sure there's visitor parking close by. Sometimes the visitor parking, that's way on the other end. I hate that. Yeah. Some townhouse complexes have done a really nice job with the visitor parking. But what the problem is they won't allow you to park overnight in the visitor parking. I get it, because it's for visitor parking. But they need to, like, I think a townhouse needs at least 2 parking spots in the driveway. They need 2 parking spots. And none of this one car that barely fits in there. You can't even get a truck in there.
The townhouses now, you have to have one of those compact cars.
Oh yeah, like you need one of those Japanese cars to get in there. But yeah, it's not good. So, but when you're looking at buying a townhouse or a condo, you better know the parking situation. And you almost have to predict your future. Like, hey, I may be by myself now, but listen, if I have a partner coming up, where are they going to park? You know what I mean? Like, they have to park down the street, and we have to drive them back and forth.
That's very true.
It's the same thing, townhouses. So when you're buying brand new, I'm going to tell you, if you're buying brand new, a condo unit, or you're buying a townhouse, really think twice about the parking situation. Find out, like, everybody thinks, oh, there's a garage with it. Nobody parks in the garage. Very few people do.
That's where all your stuff goes, Rob. Where am I going to put all my stuff? Where am I going to put all the clothes that I really should be donating, because I put them in the bags and I'm going to take them to the donation place, but I haven't done it yet? Where's that all going to go?
Exactly. That stays there for a year before you send it out.
Minimum. Then I look through and go, oh, this is where those pants went.
Yeah. Hey, maybe why did I think about throwing these away? They actually fit me pretty good now. But yeah, no, it's just, yeah, you're right. The garages are for, like, storage. Everybody just throws their stuff in the garage. And then so you got the one car in the driveway, and then you got another car floating around, and you're playing dancing with the cars or something like that. Yeah. You're doing Ring Around the Rosie with the cars in the in your complex. You know what I mean? It is brutal. So anyway, that's
the app. I think you need a show called Dancing with the Cars, Rob. That's a
Dancing with the Cars. Yeah, actually, that's a good one. See, now everybody's taking our ideas. There's a tech guy right out there listening to this show right now. He's going, yeah, great idea. I'm going to put this thing together. He's like a Mark Zuckerberg, and he's going to come up with he'll say he came up with the idea.
Well, we'll have this. We'll tape it for sure. But you know what? You could call the app Dancing with the Cars, because you're dancing the cars around in the different parking spots.
Absolutely. I'm going to get the domain name right now. Yep. And so Dancing with the Cars, but it is. I know. It is brutal. Like, it is brutal. So, and people that own a condo right now, and like, think about this. They have a condo building with 300 units. They only have maybe 10 visitor parking spots. Yeah. 10. Yeah. Okay, 300 units. Okay, let's say 300 people live there, and it's Christmas. Yeah. Where do you think, like, you don't think everybody's going to have somebody visiting them at Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever? Like, where do all these other guys go? You know what I mean? And
even me as a realtor, when I'm doing showings downtown Hamilton for my clients and stuff like that, sometimes I have to park many blocks away just on a Tuesday afternoon because there's no parking anywhere. So think about those guests that are coming to visit them. They're going to have to walk, and especially in the wintertime and the snow. Yeah. It's not fun.
New York City and Toronto, you can get away without a driver's license. If you live downtown and you work downtown, you can get away without a driver's license. But not Niagara or even Hamilton or Brantford or anything like that. Everybody has a car, and they need a driver's license. Like in New York City, I was watching one of these shows, these real estate shows, and they all have all the expensive clothes, and they all look good and everything else like that. And I'm like, wow, like, do they pick these people out or what?
Is it the new one on Netflix? Selling the City?
Selling in the City, New York. I go, oh my God. So anyway, but they don't have driver's license. When somebody gets a driver's license, they go, oh wow, why did you get a driver's license? Like, you know what I mean? Because they have drivers. They have drivers that drive them around because there is no parking. Yeah. So when they're showing houses or showing condos, You literally need a driver.
Yeah, they do.
They drop you off.
Yep.
They drop you off in front of the condo, and the driver parks down the street someplace and waits for your call to pick them up.
Yep, that's true.
They also make about a couple $1 million every time they get a commission, too.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? I know. I'm calculating. I go, man, I don't need to sell as many homes as they do.
Nope.
You know, like if I could do what they do, and they look so good. I wish I had a camera following me, and I get their wardrobe. You know, what the heck's that about? You know, and everything looks so good. But trust me, everybody, real estate, it's not as good as it looks on TV.
Yeah,
believe me, there's a grind. Yes. There's a grind. They're talking, they're all talking about, who wore what that day, what they said that day. We don't care. I'm here working. I don't care what anybody says.
Get those deals. All right. We talked a little bit about this last week, but I can't believe it. It's still continuing, Rob. These California wildfires, just devastating to watch. Just thousands, tens of thousands of buildings have been destroyed. And sadly, many have lost their lives as well. And, thankfully the winds have died down there. They're getting a little bit of a handle on this stuff. But you really do wonder, when it's all said and done, what that final price tag is going to be to rebuild. It's
going to be huge. There'll be an economic, it's going to be a downturn, but it'll be an economic boom because now they got to build all these houses. I was just watching on social media that the actor Mel Gibson, that he did a bunch of movies there. His whole house burned down. He says when they were evacuating, he goes, his kids were saying, "What do we grab?" He says, "Grab your passports, grab whatever. Everything's going to be burnt." I'm sure they, think about all your personal possessions, and who knows what insurance coverage is going to be, because I'll tell you, they're not going to cover that $1 million painting on the wall that's been sitting there and that burned down. And but it is sad that what they're going through. And there is looting going on. So people are, people are leaving their house. So those people are leaving their house. Obviously, they're leaving their house 1 or 2 days in advance before their house burns down. So people are going in, gathering stuff, and they can sell this stuff, to another state. Basically, you're going through the house. It doesn't matter. You could say everything burned anyway, but you hate to see somebody take advantage of somebody in dire strait. But there is a lot. There will be an economic boom down the road, but they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it through tourism. They're going to feel it through everything. And now there's going to be a boom in rental homes, probably in the surrounding areas. It's going to be tough. Yep. People are going to leave the state. Who knows what's going to happen? So there's going to be a huge change that's going to happen in that area of California. Yeah.
I heard about some price gouging on the rentals. Get this, Justin. Some places trying to rent out single bedroom units for $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 American dollars.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's all about supply and demand, and unfortunately, people take
they're getting it.
They're taking advantage of it now.
Yeah, and they're getting and the only people that can afford it are the rich.
Yep.
Yeah, and so they're these fires are happening in neighborhoods where there's a lot of wealth. And so those guys, hey, they may lose their $10 million house. I'm sure they'll get some insurance on it, but they probably have 2 other houses in different states. So they just, okay, well, I guess this is going to be burned down. Let's just go to New York City. We'll hang out there and watch the fires on TV,
Yeah, there is. And then there's a lot of diversity too, people who don't make as much. Right. And so it's those people you really feel for. Right. Because it's, those with the 2-3 houses, they're not the ones who are going to have to try to go rent those $5,000 a month single bedrooms. It's the other people. It's very sad. It is very sad. And it's once this fire is over,
I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people for insurance and what the government's going to pay. I think it's going to be tough. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you guys. This has been fantastic. Justin, where can we go to find out more about you?
Absolutely. Just go over to the Golfi website, and we have a leasing tab there, and you can get further information and to get in touch with me.
Okay, super. And the Golfi website is, of course, robgolfi.com.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
robgolfi.com. You can also give them a call at 905-641-0308. Well, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And this has been the Golfi Real Estate Show. We'll do it again next week. Thanks for listening here on News Talk 610 CKTB.